This is the features video for the 0.13.14 release. First thing I want to show you is we finally added K. Brownridge's Quintessence code. So if you turn on the system setting for Quintessence, you now have a Quintessence attribute. It will be populated on new actors, but if you have an old actor and you have a 0 or a not a number flag here, you can always go into the editor and enter in a value for Quintessence and then switch back. And so now you'll have the Quintessence. But if you have defined the QN attribute in GCS, we will import it directly from GCS. And in support of Douglas Cole's Nordland Bestiary and Enemies book, we've added some new features. First of all, damage, if it's separated by a comma here, that'll actually roll both of these damages. This occurs in some of the Nordland monsters. So it'll roll both damages for you, and you can drag them and drop them on your targets immediately. Secondly, we now support split DR. You can see this test guard has 5-3 on the torso, so 5 normally and 3 for crushing. On the groin, you can see it has 5-6, but it has an asterisk because normally the secondary DR is for crushing. If it's not, it throws a little asterisk there, and then the hover text lets you know what this is. It's impaling. So to show you how this works, I'll drag some damage on. So here's some crushing damage onto this guard test. And the torso, it's currently 3 because crushing is less damage. Now, if I change it from crushing, say, to cutting, you can see that the torso goes back up to 5. And the same occurs with the impaling damage. The groin, it's 6 because it's impaling, but if I put it to crushing, it's 5. So here's the guard in GCS showing you the split DR. And this is the heavy mail armor that's providing it. You'll notice that to get the DR against crushing, you actually have to subtract 2 because the top bonus gives you 5 points all over, but you want to give it less coverage over the torso, or in this case, more coverage for impaling over the groin. So that's how you would build it in GCS, and we'll import it directly. If you just need to build it in Foundry, you can bring up the editor, and then this button on the right allows you to edit the additional DR. So I can click on this and you can see that the secondary or the split DR is of type crushing, and this is of type impaling. If I want to add some to the left arm, I click on this, then the plus, then I pick one of the damage types. I'll say piercing small, and I'm going to give it a value of 12. There you go, that sounds good to me. So now it has a split DR of 1 versus 12 versus piercing small. I have no idea why I did that. Now you just go back to the full view, and there you go. There's your split DR. One of the most exciting enhancements that Nick put in for the bestiary is the ability to build an accumulation of a spell. So let's say you have a spell that for every point of fatigue that you put into it, you can do 1d burning damage. So this on-the-fly formula here, it's a normal attack, it's a normal damage on-the-fly formula, but it has the plus sign in the front, and this creates an accumulator. Now, if I click on this, you can see at the bottom, there's this nice widget, and it's telling you that you currently have a 1d burn waiting, and you can, of course, clear it. Or you can increase it. It's the same thing as clicking on the button, or maybe decrease it. And then you will trigger it when you press the button. So let's say the spellcaster decides to throw 3 points of fatigue in there. They can either press this button 3 times, or they can go down here and press the plus sign, but it's now set to do 3D burn. So if I execute this, it does 3D burn and costs 3 points of fatigue. Now this value is per actor, so I have the guard test that has charged up 1 level, and then maybe this townsfolk has charged up 2 levels, and this townsfolk has charged up 3 levels. And as you go, well, I should do a 3rd level. And as you go back to each different actor, it gives you their accumulated amount. So if a spellcaster is building up damage over time, then as the GM, you don't have to worry about it. It just keeps track of it per actor. Oh, side note, the Asterisks per 1 FP versus costs 1 FP, doesn't matter. We just now accept both because the bestiary uses per and we always used cost. But you can use either. It is not required for the accumulator for you to call it a per value. And I wanted to thank Kalos for giving me his range modifier code again. Somehow we overwrote it. But now we support ranges for meters, millimeters, kilometers, inches, centimeters, feet, yards, miles, parsecs, light years, and I think astronomical units. So if you've created your grid with those kind of grid units, then we will correctly calculate the range modifiers now. And I wanted to show this to a lot of people. Maybe you don't know about this, but we fixed a bug with the journal linking. So here's the GM's view of Geralt. And the player would like to be able to create their own notes and store it in a journal. So what you can do is create a notes, a journal entry, and give permission to that player, and then drag it into, say, the Quick Notes button. And here's the player's view. So we can open up Geralt, and there's the link to the notes. And now he can open up notes and enter in whatever he wants. Speaking of notes, notes can now have titles. So if I create a new note and I can give it a title and then create it, titles are displayed in bold. And two final features. If you right mouse click on a damage, you now have the option to combine the rolls. So here I am going to do, I can either do 2 separate rolls of 1D crushing damage, and it creates 2 damage chat messages that you can drag separately, or you can combine them and it will do the math and create a single damage chat message with the 2 rolls combined. And this last feature is for the OTF developers out there. You can now check in the if statement, you can now check against the margin. Is crit success or is crit failure? And with the margin, you can check if it's positive or you can do math. And we have 2 ways of checking equals, because if you're a non-programmer, it's 1 equal sign. And if you're a programmer, it's 2 equal sign. They both work the same. I put the bang in front of all these so it doesn't fill up the chat log. But here, this is going to execute the skill acrobatics, and then it's going to use that margin of success to execute the brawl, and then that margin of success to execute the knife, and vice versa. And then the final margin of success is going to be for the survival woodlands. So we will execute the macro. And there you go. Oh, made it by plus 14. No, made it by plus 16. Well, let's try it again, see what happens. Hopefully you'll find that useful. And as always, thank you for watching.